because we about to go out there and do what they want. Now give me my theme music!
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rounded Corners. I'm Alan.
And I'm Mitch.
Mitch, we have a special guest in the office today.
I know, and I'm staring at a sweet box of cards right here. So let's. I'm interested to see what he's got to say today.
He's an avid Jordan collector.
Yeah, avid Jordan collector. Joe Bobrick. A lot of friends of mine started calling me JoJo Cards. So when we're talking sports cards, it's usually JoJo Cards I go by.
Nice, big Facebook following. He sells a lot on that. And I saw you in action at the last Forever Young Sports Card show on the Jordan front.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be good to have you in here to chat a little bit about. I don't know. I mean, you work full time for a construction company.
Right.
This is a little bit of a side hustle for you. Unfortunately, like anything else, the side hustle becomes the full-time hustle. Mm-hmm. And then I just thought it'd be great for our listeners to hear your perspective, not only on like what you're doing, but especially like your Jordan collection, because you've brought a good box of goodies here today.
Yeah, no, I was excited to get the invite. I'd never met Mitch before, so it was good to meet Mitch. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about sports cards.
All right, Mitch, anything you'd like to add?
I'm curious if my favorite Jordan inserts inside this box.
Oh,
So I'm waiting to. I'm almost trying to make like a side bet with myself in my head, like right now. Like, is it in there or is it not?
Well, you made me tell you my favorite insert, but you kept yours secret, which is not fair.
Okay.
That's kind of a bullshit move. Very veteran and savvy.
One of us has got to be the true salesman down here.
all right. Well, I mean, Alan asked me to pick my top 5 Jordan cards. So as I was flipping through my box this morning, I started throwing a bunch in there. Ended up with my first dozen that I picked. So I figured I'd just bring them in here as a conversation piece, and we'll see if we align, and maybe Mitch's or Alan's if I got it at home or whatever. I guess I should have picked it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, but that's a nice fun part. Like, me and Alan both reflect on like 90s inserts,
Oh,
right?
for
like,
sure.
Like
My
that's made
favorite.
us, like there wasn't, numbered cards start and just get introduced. But let's remind you, 90s numbered cards are out of 10,000. Not like it's like
Yeah.
out of 3. Like, oh, we got stuff now. So, but that was the stuff that we chased. So I think like that's cool. And then also, me and him talked a little bit. I think you're seeing the evolution now in the hobby that guys the cards we wanted as kids that now we have, expendable income. We're buying those cards, and those cards, some of these inserts are really starting to take off, monetarity wise.
Yeah, big time.
Oh yeah, a lot of them. I mean, you say they're not numbered, but I mean, as soon as they get in that slab, they're numbered. I mean, depending on which company you use, and so then it's like, okay, well, now I got 1 out of 139s, and there's only 26 10s.
Yeah,
That's
So,
true.
I mean,
And let's like the quality of the cards now buying back in the mid 90s is tough. Like
Yeah.
especially places like Upper Deck, the Fleer Ultra that I know I've seen you sell on the Jordan stuff. A lot of that shit is bricked at this point.
yeah, and
So like it's not getting easier to get those cards. If anything, it's getting harder.
well, and the foil. I mean, they're all foil inserts for the most part. A lot of them are, and it's condition sensitive. And I mean, you guys remember pulling those in the 90s. Those things were damaged straight out of the packs.
Oh,
Big time, big time. That's why I'm surprised a lot of those like 92, 93, 91. Well, 91 Upper Deck seems to be kind of like a really base paper.
Yeah.
But, especially like the Fleer Ultras, the Stadium Clubs, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised those aren't more valuable now. I feel like it's really a dip in that market right now that you can buy in and probably get some good returns long term.
Well, the Stadium Club inserts are the ones that are big time.
Yeah, the Beam Teams.
Beam
Beam
team.
teams.
That was one of the bigger sales I had last year on eBay.
Yeah, dude, you got to hear this story.
All right,
The
go.
Say
beam
it,
team that
Mitch.
walked in.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I hope this lady's not listening. So my grandma are like helps. So my grandma works at the store. Lady comes in. The husband died or whatever. Got this box of cards. One of the back cards of the Beam Team. I didn't even really look through all of it. She's like, "Listen, what was it? I need like 1,500 cash right now. Bills or whatever." And I'm like, look for the first couple cards. I'm like, all right, here's like 1,000 and easy sales or some more stuff. I'm like, that's fine. Not really known. I'm like, you sure? Like, nope, this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. Second to last card in this box is a PSA 10 Beam Team.
Original, the first series.
Whoa.
Or the
Like-
second
like-
series, technically.
You know, and but like old PSA like label and everything else like that. And what did I?
PSA 10.
And I ended up taking like 4,800 for it.
Oh,
so
I
that was like
wouldn't
a
doubt it.
huge come up.
But that wasn't the only one. It was the Shaq PSA 10
Well,
too.
that's his rookie card.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the most desirable
So-
Shaq
so
rookie.
that's-
Oh, hell yeah.
I still got that one. I'm a big, Shaq. I love Shaq.
I'll give you $450 for it.
Let's talk after the show.
PSA 10?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So but you are right though. The fact that like the pop control on some of this like '90s stuff does like really, like a lot of these 10s get pushed up because there's such a low pop rate because of the quality control of these cards.
Oh yeah, like especially in like some of that Topps Finest stuff, like in baseball. Like, dude, the Power Kings insert from like 1995. Finding one that's even remotely centered. I mean, dude, you're gonna have a lifetime of searching.
Yeah. Well, it's still the same nowadays. I mean, I ripped open so many Panini Prism and Optic packs, and it's like this whole pack is off center.
Oh, I'm with you. I bought 4 mega boxes of this year's Prism basketball. Dude, I think there's 3 cards I could potentially gem. Some
Yeah.
of those cuts are just brutal.
It's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, to kind of like fill in the viewer a little bit, Mitch, you own a store, and you're probably the more decorated of us. This is your full-time thing, right?
This is full time, But it's funny because, you construction, what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like that's my background.
Yeah.
Like people forget, like Forever Young Sports Cards started with me carrying an ammo can of cards and posting them during my lunch break, working nights downtown, running a construction job site.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But cards are always my life. Is like my stepdad who came into my life adopted me. Like that was our thing. Shows, lifelong collector, and then just started flipping money. And it actually started with like me trying to make some extra money to get an engagement ring for my soon-to-be wife, or now she's my wife, obviously, but.
That's fun.
That's
That
romantic.
was
That's
but
very
that was a hustle.
romantic.
But dude, it's like where you live in, you making ends meet though. Like to tuck extra money away for that. Cards. You know how many people I've met that literally have bought a ring or like did stuff like that with card money.
Yeah.
It's like a nice investment. And then your next thing you know, you don't realize it, but then you go through your cards and you're sitting on $5K. And you're
Yeah.
like, shit, okay, well, what can I get for this?
I think at the end of the day, it's like it's really become one of the last true, like clean American hustles.
Yeah.
I like that.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a hustle because, I'm not out there trying to hustle people's money. I'm always, trying to sell at a fair price, have customers that come back at, on eBay and on Facebook. I think of it more as like a self-sustaining hobby is what I try to treat it as, where it's like, all right, I'm constantly got a revolving door of cards coming in and out of my house, but I'm not coming out of money out of my pocket for, from my construction job.
Wow.
Right?
Well, good for you, Joe,
So-
because that's not the case for me. It's all money out of my pocket.
Well,
I'm hustling balls.
So I got back. I was a card collector from back in the mid to late, from the late '80s all the way to the late '90s. End of 2020, early 2021 is when I was like, okay, let's go to my mom's house and dust off what I got. And so, starting back up again, I had over 500 raw Jordans that I was, sitting on. And then,
So since you were a child.
yeah, I had roughly about 500 Michael Jordan cards. Just, a lot of, common base cards, probably about 60, 80 insert type cards. But yeah, that's what I had to like get myself started back up into, the card game.
And you started it back up, or what, 2020, you said?
2021 was when early 2021 was once I finally like shuffled through the, 2 carloads of boxes of cards that I had, and I was able to start listing cards on eBay and start like, gaining some money. So like you said, I'm still coming out of pocket for items. Yeah, it took me a good 18 months where I had an inventory of slabs, an inventory of raw cards that are sellable in order to just make it where it's a self-sustaining hobby.
Oh, wow. So what is your strategy? Because we've talked to a couple podcasts here strategy-wise of what we're trying to do. What do you kind of dip into? Because I know we're talking the majority Jordan today.
Yeah.
But like I know like in the pregame you talked a little bit about football and how you use that to kind of really make moves. How are you kind of driving your revenue, and how are you making it self-sustainable at this point?
So at this point right now, I mean, with modern cards or ultra modern cards, I deal with mostly football and a little bit of basketball. If I'm bored and I can't get my hands on any reasonably priced football packs, I'll buy some NBA stuff. I don't necessarily go out and chase raw cards on eBay or on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. The raw cards I'm trying to get are usually just from packs. And I mean, so you guys know how it is when you open packs. Sometimes you have a good run of luck. Sometimes you don't.
Yes. Mitch and I saw that firsthand opening simultaneously back-to-back boxes of Jumbo 2023 Topps.
Yeah.
You're not going to live that.
No, it's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been there. You know, I've sat down at the kitchen table and my wife and kids are sitting around. She's like, how much you spend on all these packs? I'm like, I don't know, $200-$300. And like you rip it all up and it's like, oh, I got like $30 worth of stuff I could sell here.
Yeah.
So, but for ultra modern cards, I mean, I like to take the safe approach. So I go and I just buy graded slabs already in 10s because 9s are hard to sell. So I always just go buy graded 10s and then I do it in the off season. Like I was telling you, you know, football after the draft, because I mean, football's still a little bit of hype right now. After the draft, usually about June or July, I start looking on eBay and other social media outlets and trying to find graded 10s of rookies, of guys that I think are going to be good this next year. I mean, one guy that was a big win for me last year, like I was telling you when we were sitting down, Jalen Hurts. I mean, I bought 6 graded slabs for $300, and during the football season, I think I ended up selling them all for $800 total.
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm not doing any like big time moving, like thousands of dollars every month like that. You know, it's a lot in the hundreds range, and I just try to keep it where I'm self-sustaining. So then when I make money on the ultra modern cards, I personally collect Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. With Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, it's all just vintage Fleer. But Jordan, I collect anything that I like. So when I make a little money on Jalen Hurts, I'm putting it into, all right, well, I'm going to go buy some nice Jordans. Hey, I made $500. I want to find like 1 or 2 really nice Michael Jordan cards.
So do you keep a lot of 9s in the stack, or is it mainly you just trying to find Jam 10s?
For
just
Jordan?
In general of your PC?
Jordans, it's anything. Because, I mean, when you go back into vintage Fleer, and I mean, one of my favorite cards that are sitting right on top here, 1987 base Michael Jordan card. I got a graded 8. Been looking for a 9, trying to get my hands on one. But, I mean, a graded 8's a, $400 or $500 card. So, I mean, that's the type of stuff I'm looking to personally collect. I like the vintage Fleer just because that was my thing as a kid. So 86 to 1990. It's like an emotional attachment thing for me for Fleer.
Hell yeah.
And then Jordans, it's just any insert. I only buy Bulls uniform or North Carolina just because seeing Jordan in a Wizards uniform kind of makes me want to throw up in my mouth or something.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mitch. We've had this kind of back to back on like where we look at the uniform of guys. And the Wizards one's a good example of that, like it doesn't move.
And it's interesting hearing his perspective because there's a couple things that me and you have talked recently about on our other podcast shows or just sidebar conversation. I think hearing it proves football's king for modern.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Second fact, all of us are in the dump PSA 9 phase of anything modern.
Yes.
Yep.
Or you're buying it cheap knowing you're going to flip it fast. Right? I just picked up that Trevor Lawrence today. I'm just going to turn around and sell it right away. There's no attachment to hold that.
Right on.
So I think those facts are, interesting about it. And I do believe that you're right, the fact that, like, as you get into pre-90 stuff, the 8s and the 9s are a lot more acceptable. Because people understand that, like, Fleer did not have great quality control.
Different stock, too.
Plus, there's also pop report control, too. And that's not discussed enough, but, like, 87 Fleer, second year Jordan, pretty much for Fleer, like, they're going to control how many 10s and how many 9s are out there.
100%.
I feel like that in general with Jordan.
There should be so
Jordan's
many
a tough grade.
But I'm saying if you follow the parameters of the 60-40 rules and everything else and like PSA's hand guide, there should be way more PSA 10 Jordans probably on the market than they are. But there's like certain cards like we've talked about, you know, the Griffey Upper Deck rookie, SP Jeter, the Jordan 86, like I mean, you know, those type of cards are going to be controlled forever.
I think that Brady 2000 Bowman Chrome,
Another one too.
Yeah.
And so many of those are off-centered as can be.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like, you know, but you know what? The balance of it though is I think you're going to have continued success. When I hear people that the balance of it between like ultra modern, but then like investing in goats, right? Like Jordan's a goat.
Yeah.
So it's like there's balance to it, right? Like, yeah, you know, I think Trey Lance might go off this year. Cool, I have like 10 of his slabs got in super cheap, but then at the same time, you know, I got 3, you know, Jordan Score Kings inserts and stuff like that, which is like, oh my God, it's like at this point, like they might fall a little bit, but there's like an easy, nice, steady floor where that card's always going to be worth X.
Right on.
Yeah, for sure. And then I mean, with the cards that I open, and I mean, I know I listened to almost the podcast you released a couple weeks ago. Listened to almost the whole thing, and I know you guys were talking about grading ultra modern cards. I have a little bit of different philosophy on that. I grade a lot of cards. So, I mean, while I'll get like a pink camo Josh Allen, that's a non-rookie card in a, Mosaic or like a laser or silver prism of his in a prism pack or optic, I grade the colors of the guys that are popular. And I mean, the way I follow it and the easiest way to explain it is guys that are like in the top 5 of fantasy football rankings. Those guys' cards move.
Interesting.
And so, like, while yeah, I mean, it's an investment to submit and grade. You know, with PSA, I usually wait for the $15 summer special that they had last July, and I'll submit a bunch of those cards. And like, for instance, I had a Kyler Murray die-cut yellow select one. Most people wouldn't grade that card. I graded it and ended up getting a gem, and I sold it for $45. Because there's people out there that collect.
Yeah, and everything's a win. Every added bonus is a win.
And everyone tackles it different, you know. Truthfully, like my philosophy in the store now, unless I could sell it for $100, I don't slab it anymore. But like everyone's got like their way to like tackle it, and I see the approach, right? Because like you set up at a card show, right? Like it's like Alan's kind of view of like the Chicago-based autos. Like you can find sweet spots where somebody could buy something that has very good eye appeal for $50.
Yeah,
you're making ahead, you know. So like there's definitely a room for it in the hobby for sure. And like at the end of the day, like you're right. As long as you stick to X amount of names, specifically quarterbacks.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like I do that a little bit, but I only do it with Brady. Because I know at the end of the day, I could throw up 10 Brady slabs and get rid of them in a day if I need to.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, I hear that, and I think the good thing, like I transitioned and started using Facebook more to sell cards, is that when you get in front of you post cards that someone wouldn't go and search out on eBay. Because if you list it on eBay, someone has to go and search out a red and yellow die cut Kyler Murray. If you post it on your Facebook page and you got someone that's a Cardinals fan and they see a Kyler Murray, oh, it's gem 10, $45 ship, I'm in.
Oh yeah,
and we have strong feelings about eBay, so I'm way pro selling.
Yeah,
selling on social media.
And then just wait till it hasn't released yet at the timing of this podcast, but I did a 30-minute railing on eBay.
Oh, okay.
That one's coming out. Yeah.
All right, I like that. And then when I take it submission by submission, I do it 20 to 25 cards. It's like, all right, I look at the cards and it's like, all right, this submission's going to cost me $500. What do I got to get? What gems do I have to hit where I'm going to make my $500 back, and then everything else is just gravy. So
yeah, well, see, and that's a kind of a tough philosophy to wrap your head around, because I feel like it's very three-dimensional, very matrixy. Is that like you get caught buying a card? Let's say I bought a card for $25. I send it in to get graded, and then it's really easy to itemize that specific purchase, what you invested in it, and to make sure you don't lose on that card.
Yeah.
It's like it becomes like a kind of a bad mentality where like it feels like if you kind of like break it up over a week or like break it up over your entire PSA submission and know you have to get X amount back, it seems much more obtainable to make a profit than it is to like make sure you make money on every card you own.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
You can't make a profit on every single card you sell. If you have that kind of mentality, I just think you're going to end up like
Holding a ton of shit.
Well, yeah, you're going to hold a ton of shit, and you're going to drive yourself insane.
Yeah. Well, and that's like a weird part about this hobby is that like you have X already invested into what you currently own, but at the same time, you could be sitting on inventory for years.
Yeah.
At sometimes, right? And so like there's like also
But
like
you got a card shop.
But it wasn't always the case, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's just some people really, you know, people me and you know, everyone.
no names.
No names. But the fact that the minute they buy something, they assume that they're going to make a profit on it all the time, and that's not the case.
It isn't, man.
Yeah. Well,
like I've struck out on occasions here and there, picking the wrong prospect, or how many, the whole 2020 baseball run.
We're not mentioning his name this podcast.
But like guys like that, and then the supply and demand. People need, like I said, the pop report. Understanding that and getting integrated, like minimizing stuff where it's like there's not overwhelming demand, because supply and demand matters in this market. They're producing more cards than ever.
But we grew up in the junk wax era.
Big time.
Right? That's what they say.
And you want to avoid that happening. Again, when you see shelves, literally cards are falling off the shelf at places again now. It's printing money. It's literally printing money.
Oh, yeah. Well, in that entire area you're talking about, the 2020 baseball, the 2019-2020 John Morant, Zion, right? Like there was a high uptick in production. And like the base cards, it's kind of been a great example of like a good learning lesson to collectors and dealers, because it's two completely different things. You don't go into base. Base is always going to hurt you.
Colored and numbered.
Colored,
and
numbered autos. That's like if you
and
stick with that
like
plan.
Patches too. So,
Yeah. You stick with that plan, you can't really get hurt.
Right.
You can get hurt, don't get me wrong, because like obviously we were talking about like that COVID bubble, right? You went in hard at 2020 and you were buying a bunch of shit, like even a Jordan rookie, right?
Last Dance.
Yeah.
Last Dance killed people, dude.
Oh yeah.
People went all in. All in.
Yeah, well, it was fun to be a dealer, but I wish if I could like go in a time machine and go back to that era, I would just sell everything I own and then buy it back a year later for a quarter of what I sold it for.
It's tough. How tough was that on you being a collector trying to dive in? Because this was you getting back in the same time.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like I was telling Alan, I mean, I like early 2021, it was already starting to come down. So I didn't get like, sunk in on, a lot of money on something that I couldn't make money back, or at least like, level off at. I didn't have, I can't think of any cards that I spent like $500 on that now are sitting at $200.
Oh, I took a huge L. My big L in that was I bought a Zion base Prism PSA 10 for $750.
Whoa.
But then
Not good right now.
But then the hype was that was going to be $1,000 card. Just a matter, it's going to be $1,000, and you're thinking, spend $750, make $250, get out. That'd been awesome, right?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
It's interesting, And then now we just had Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American drop. We're literally printing high school kids like Bronny James is in it.
That's bizarre.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I think the only thing that I wanted to revisit real quick that you said earlier, that I don't believe is true.
Ooh.
I don't think there's a football. I don't think there's a football offseason with cards anymore.
No?
Me and him talked about it, and the way the market is consistently like kids and guys come to the shop every single day still, and then the way that like football's put on front like all these pro days, NFL draft coming up. The combine that happened, off-season moves, training camps are not going to be recorded, hard knocks. Like, I think there used to be a better opportunity to buy in the off-season for football, and I don't think that window is as big as what it used to be.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a
That's
smaller
fair.
window, but I think that June, July is probably your best bet.
There is a small dip, but I don't think the dip used to be big as what it used to be.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's the same thing with baseball. Baseball's biggest like buy-in time is after Christmas, right in the first 2 weeks of January. Everything is like discounted to the craziest rates.
Yeah.
And like now with spring training happening, it's like I wish I would
Great
have
time to sell.
great time to sell because there's all hype and it's a 7-month season technically, so that's brutal. I wish the only thing I would have done is probably like put more value into the World Baseball Classic and what that would have done to guys' stock because that took off.
Did you buy the Ohtani card on Topps Now?
No.
Did you see it?
No. Is it sick?
I bought it.
Oh,
I gave it. I'm like
no.
not a big Topps Now guy, but dude, it's like Ohtani finishing through with like his leg kicked out. And Trout's like swinging and missing, dude.
Oh,
And then Trout, you can see the back of his jersey, and it was probably one of the best Topps Now cards I think Topps has
It's a nice
produced.
photo. Then they sold you on the photo.
Yeah.
It was, man. Photography matters. That's why I always liked Stadium Club.
Stadium Club's a great product, man.
Stadium Club Chrome Baseball, when that dropped, like, what was it, 2 years ago? I was like,
Oh, yeah. Well, that 92-93 Jordan out of that set, Stadium Club, of him dunking over Ewing is probably one of the more iconic Jordan cards, and it's impossible to gem.
all those ones, Somebody came in the other day, had that Nolan Ryan card with the dog, the gold refractor. This was cool looking, but people were like buying all this weird stuff, man. So
Nolan Ryan's got some strange cards. How many have him throwing a football?
Well, the cowboy hat.
Yeah. The tux. I think the first edition of Stadium Club.
I'd be curious on what the pop report is. How many Nolan Ryan cards have been produced in the history of sports cards?
Well, he played like
500 years.
quarter of a century.
Him and Moses. So, JoJo, let's get into your Jordans a little bit before we get too far off. Unless Mitch, do you want to kind of dive back into anything?
I'm excited to see the dozen he brought.
Okay,
All
so
right.
how do we want to do this? JoJo, what are you thinking? Do you want to just show us these 12 and then we talk about our favorite inserts, or do we want to talk about our favorite inserts and see if you have them in the box? I already cheated. I already saw it, so I can't participate.
Okay.
Mitch,
Well, yeah,
how do you want to do it?
Let's see if let's have Mitch say his favorite insert,
Okay.
and then we'll see if it's in the box.
Oh, I like that. What's in the box? A new segment.
And maybe we go down like, okay, what's your second favorite to see if we finally have one in the box. Or maybe I should have brought my whole box.
Yeah.
You got sticky fingers in there?
I got both the Chrome and the Topps one at home.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
That's still my favorites. I have one.
That's
That
a good
one's
one.
awesome.
That's a good one.
I have that one. I got a Chrome and a PSA 9.
Yeah, I got the Chrome and the Topps one in 9s.
Nice.
Let's go.
I've been looking for a 10. They don't really surface too much.
Dude, yeah, that's the thing, too, about Jordan inserts, and that's why they're fun to chase. I mean, the higher graded ones, the 1995 Jam City, there's only 31 9s, and there's 7 10s on that card. And I missed out on an auction because I fell asleep watching TV with my wife. And it sold for only like $250.
Oh, those are the worst.
And I'm
dude.
like, there's only 31 9s, and that 9 just sold for $250. I was ready to, throw like $350 at it just to make sure I got it.
Damn.
So.
But if you would have stayed up, then you would have been in a bidding war with another person who'd end up paying $350.
I'm
anyway.
the
It's
last 3 second guy.
Oh, nice.
I submit the bid last 3 seconds. If I get it, great. If I don't, oh well.
You know what? I used to be that guy. Now I get to the point, what's the ceiling I'd buy this card at? And at this point, I'm just throwing the bid on and I just walk away.
I do that on some cards, but these lower pop inserts, you can't do that because they'll get
it's
bid
tough,
up over.
And I know what my floor is where I'm at, or ceiling, I should actually say, and that's where I walk away.
Yeah.
But I used to write the last second every single one.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's stressful too.
It
10,
is.
10,
It is.
10 seconds left and click back out.
Oh, yeah.
You remember when they didn't have the number running on the eBay screen,
yeah.
and you had to have two screens open, and you'd have to sit there and refresh to count down the
Dude,
seconds.
old eBay, I'd set alarms on my phone. So it would, like 2 minutes before the card would be going, and I would sit there for the last 2 minutes. It would go before it would sell.
Wow.
I like that.
All right, so we know he doesn't have the sticky fingers. Mitch, do you want to go number 2?
I'm kind of interested what's in here. That's my all-time favorite insert. I'm also a big Fleer metal guy, but I want to see what else is in here, and then I will pick my favorite out of the box.
Okay.
I like
and
that.
that way you can
Sounds
pick your
fun.
favorite out of the box.
Okay, cool.
All right.
And you could have first draft selection since
Oh, that's nice, Mitch.
All right, first one's a great one. I got a 7 and an 8 on this. 1987 base, number 59.
Great card.
Michael Jordan, second year of Fleer, PSA 8. I'm a big
People,
vintage Fleer guy.
when we're every show I'm at that I've dealt in, that card gets asked about.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, the second-year Jordan seems to be real high demand.
So if anybody's got a 9 they want to part with, please reach out to me.
JoJo Cards, Facebook.
Maybe Mitch. Mitch, you got one?
I do not.
Okay.
All right.
Card 1.
I do have the next card you have in your hand, though.
All right. 1988 Fleer sticker. These pops are really, really low.
Cuts are crazy on those.
And there's a ton with qualifiers. I want to say there's only like maybe 208s
Yeah,
that don't have qualifiers.
Mine's a 7, so
Yeah.
and I would say 7's probably the most popular.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see a lot of 7. I think when it's below 7, I think people just get it authentic or they crack it. Sometimes,
Yeah,
a lot
so
of times.
I got annoyed because I got a 7 at home and I bought it raw for $40 and it looks nicer, and I'm sure you've done this before. It looks nicer than the one that's in the holder, and I almost like wanted to just send it back to PSA and send them both, the 7 and the 8, and be like, this is the same card. But my 7 looks it looks nicer. The centering's better than this,
Crazy.
and I came back a
it's just
7.
whatever day they're having. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So what's the retail on that?
I bought this actually at one of Mitch's shows
Oh.
about a year and a half ago, and I asked the dude how much he wanted for it, and he told me $250, and I couldn't get my money out of my pocket fast enough. Because I want to say like the lowest buy it now is on eBay right now are like 400, something
Wow.
like that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like the stickers don't get enough respect.
They're great cards, man.
well, that's the next one up too.
Well, you know, and what's the thing is like over in Europe, like because of soccer is like king, like stickers are loved and worshipped, or like as far as the collectible side, you know. And then like Gary Vee was always big about like how we undervalue stickers and how important it is with the hobby.
I'm a big sticker guy.
Love stickers. Yeah,
Love
me
it.
too.
So this is the 1989, which is, what is that, his 4th year Fleer. So this is pretty underrated. I think there's only 83 10s.
Damn.
One just popped up on eBay. There's only 110 listed.
Nine's a high grade, and like I said,
Yeah.
a lot of stickers you see surface up in slabs are like 7s a lot of times.
And they have
Oh, yeah.
qualifiers too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is another one of my favorites. It's I think there's like 259s out there that don't have qualifiers.
Well, and those are tough cards too. I've tried to go down that path of like gem hunting on eBay where I'm like buying a few of them for like $10, $15, seeing what
Yeah.
happens. They all come back shitty. I stopped. I had to give up on it.
Yeah. So then the 1990 Fleer, everybody loves this card.
Yeah.
I probably bought and sold at least 60 raw ones. Just shuffle them through my house. And I submitted 2, and I got 2 10s on it.
Wow.
That card has been one of the most surface cards that walk in the store.
Yeah.
Raw or
Raw.
Yeah, dude. COVID put that card on the map.
Yeah.
Last Dance, that card shot up.
Oh, yeah.
PSA grades, that card ballooned up. Huge.
Oh, a 10 I think was like up to about $700 or something.
No,
Let's
it's-
go.
It came down to reality.
Well, now it's like 250.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple like auctions that are still going for $275 and just didn't see the final, but that's sweet.
Yeah. And then the last one, I mean, this card doesn't get enough respect.
I like that one right there, the All Star.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I submitted 2 of these. I was telling Alan before he got here, I'm like, they're the exact same card. Got 1.9, 110, but I'm happy with the 110.
Hell
'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, I think there's only about 500 of these.
So when you're raw fishing, do you fish it like? Do you try to go to dealer shows or do you try to do it on eBay? Like when you're raw fishing.
Both. I mean, my limit on spending on a card raw on eBay is probably about $65, $70 because so many people take deceptive photos.
Oh yeah,
And then you
scans.
get, yeah, and I mean, I'm not the guy that gets the card and I'm like, I'm going to return this raw card because it's, it's like, whatever, I'll just take the L because I don't want to deal with it.
Good to hear that.
Enough of it out there because I deal with it all the time. So
Yeah.
that's the reason we went all in on the website now.
Another reason why eBay sucks.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
And then they'll give them the money back, and then you're out the card. It's like the whole worst thing ever.
and then
So
you-
stupid.
Yeah, and then you paid for shipping both ways. Yeah,
Yeah, so dumb.
All right, so these are the more the inserts and parallels. 95 Ultra Gold Medallion, great card.
Fun card. Tough
Real
to grade.
fun.
Tough
Yeah.
to
I
grade.
think there's
Yeah,
25
because the
gems.
edges, the foil. When you get that much foil on a card,
Oh yeah.
every single flaw on the edges show.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's a great one. 1996 Full Court Trap, and I was talking with Alan about this before. It's It's like, you look at these refractors or prisms or whatever you call them now. It's like 90s basketball is when that started. I mean, you could look at like the Pulsar prisms and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from. So,
And you got a Jordan goatee. Do you think that matters in the card at all?
Yeah, well, in the black pinstripe uniform.
Oh, yeah. That
There's
shit
not-
matters, man.
Yeah, a lot of people like that one. I called this one the original Downtown. So this isn't an insert. It's a subset one, but a real nice gem.
I remember chasing this card as a 10-year-old Mitch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So there's some sentimental value there.
Damn right.
I remember this card, too, trying to get it in packs. Back then, they had boxes at Sam's Club. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
but a box of 1986 Fleer basketball was $14.99 at Kmart.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Those boxes are now over 6 figures sealed.
Yeah, I remember.
What stock you buying in 1986 for $15 is worth $100K plus right now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That'd be a fun, just hypothetical question. If you can get in a time machine in the card world, what era would you go back into to just invest everything?
Just empty out your 401k.
yeah, just go.
No,
dude.
but like I got a lot of buddies in construction business. A couple of them are scrappers that get into cards and bikes and stuff like that. And I've talked to them multiple times. He's like, I wonder how many people in Chicago area, that with how popular Jordan was, bought boxes of stuff and just sitting in attics everywhere, and how much it's probably out there that never is going to surface, or it'll surface years from now when these houses are wiped out and cleared out. And there's so much of it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the Skylight. Stadium Club Warp Speed.
That's a
PSA.
sick card, dude.
Been trying to get a 9. I usually ladder climb with Jordan. So what I do is I'll continuously keep buying 8s until I could finally buy a 9, and then I'll sell the 8s.
Wow. So when you're selling, so let's say you have 10 8s. You're holding on to 10
I
8s.
won't buy 10 8s, but
How many would you buy?
I'd probably stop at 4. Usually 4 on the Jordan cards that are $200 or more. I usually stop at the point where I could buy a 9 and sell what I have to recoup the money.
Okay. So then if you're sitting on 4 8s, do you put all 4 out at the same time, or do you kind of like dangle them monthly?
You got to slow roll them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good talk.
Yeah, especially with Jordan inserts, those prices spike at certain times. So there's definitely good times to sell them.
Can you like articulate a certain time that it's been pretty consistent over your time of collecting them?
February, All-Star break time for NBA. That seems to be a pretty good spike for NBA cards. I mean, Mitch, you see that? Or
This year's been weird.
The injuries in basketball
yeah,
have impacted things a lot, I think. And basketball, to me, ballooned up the biggest of all the sports through the COVID bubble. I think it scared some people a little bit from ultra modern basketball.
yeah,
I think the guys that are like substantially in this hobby are still messing around with a lot of the Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like super rare insert high grade stuff that are making financial investments. So I think you're along the right lines of other guys that I talk to,
Yeah.
obviously that are in from the investment side of it. But
So February. That's the Super Bowl
yeah.
of Jordan.
I mean, Jordan's birthday's in February. I mean, so
Okay, so we got the birthday and the NBA All-Star game.
yeah.
Do you see any real pulse after the national? Because I feel like that's another time where cards across the board just jump.
I think there's one more big spike coming in Jordan stuff, and as I've been stashing some of it away,
Really? What is that?
the movie drop coming up.
The shoe one.
It's already going on.
I love that.
You see it a little bit. Like you
Oh,
probably
yeah.
see it. It's not like huge jumps, but like there's little trickles, and like the nicknames Air.
Yeah.
Those are up like 30% right now because it says Air across the whole side of the card right there.
Yeah.
And that
That's
card
a great insert.
blew up.
That is a great
dropped
one.
down, and then so I've been watching kind of things like that to make investments because I do believe in the whole documentary, Netflix, like anything that's on social media that's gonna drive people to watch something or a movie impacts the hobby, and I try to get ahead of those before it happens.
Okay.
All right.
What do we got next?
Next one's one of my. I think it's probably my favorite insert. It's the Topps Bombardiers.
I love
From
that one.
1998.
That's such a sick card in person.
It is a sick.
Yeah,
card.
so
I
I got-
actually haven't seen one of those in a while.
I got 2 9s. You can't even find 9s. I think the highest grade on eBay right now is like a 7 or an 8.
Damn.
It's hard to find 9s. It's like impossible to find 10s. Whoever's sitting out there with like the, I don't know, 30 10s that are floating around out there. They're probably in between their mattress or never going to sell them.
But how does that not remind you of like modern day Select?
It's 100%
That's
it.
what it is.
It's 100% it. Absolutely.
All of that going on. Like, this is the foundation that started all of that.
Oh yeah.
This next one's a great one, and a lot of people can go out and get it. It's $100 for a 9 usually, 100 to 125. It's the Pulsar Prism from modern day cards now.
Another sick card, dude, in person.
1999 SPX Excitement. And it's just a great card. Underrated.
Oh yeah.
For sure. SPX has a lot of cool inserts out there.
Yeah, SPX is a very undervalued 90s card. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, certain ones obviously like have high ceilings and stuff, but there's other ones that like I feel like you can get into that shit.
All right, now, and this is my last card. This is not it's not an insert. It's probably my favorite card just because I remember sitting around ripping a ton of these gold 1990s Skybox cards.
Oh, yeah.
The initial release of Skybox. So this is the prototype. And it was not in packs. It was issued to all the people that were dealers at the time on a display board. And so you couldn't pull it out of a pack. It's actually a small set because there's a Magic Johnson floating out there, Malone, a few other guys. But this is the Jordan PSA 8.5, the rare half grade that you get from PSA sometime. But this is one of them that's, I think long term, especially with the price falling on the regular base of the regular 1990. I think more that people find out that the prototype's floating around and how low pop it is. It's a nice card to have for sure.
Sick card. And the stories behind it are just as fun as the card itself.
No, but it's interesting because I've talked to people about the prototype / sample, right? Sample cards. Like, is there a time at some point where those are going to have a big spike? Because those weren't pack pulled. Those weren't like.
Yeah.
They weren't floated around. They're not sealed on a shelf somewhere.
And they were just
where you could open up and stuff like that.
How many of them lost their gem status just by being displayed?
Yeah.
They
were in that cardboard where they had the corner cuts and it was like wedged in there. And yeah, it's a tough grade. I can't remember how many 9s and 10s are floating around out there, but it's less than 100 9s and I'm sure less than 50 10s.
That's
I'm not
awesome.
mistaken. So,
all right.
That gold border, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick. Even the base one, like the regular one, is a card that I'm going to throw in my safe and just hold on to forever.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my hands on a gem. I tried submitting a bunch of them. Best I've done is a 9. So now at this point, it's like I'm sure I'll be able to at a show or something find someone selling that gem for 150 or so now. I mean, they're pretty low.
Yeah, they're not bad at all.
National in Chicago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, so like the 90s Skybox, I mean, it's got a distinct border, which makes it easier to send in. What do you think the biggest problem is with that one in particular not gemming?
Centering.
Really?
Centering and edges. The gold edges are tough. Like anything that's dark edges, especially from the 90s, or like that all gold card, or like you said, anything that's foil.
It's tough. Like one of my, and I don't want to get off track with one of my favorite football sets all time is 86 Topps football. The green edges, it shows everything.
Oh yeah. Was it the 85 that had the all black border?
Yeah.
That's another one that I feel like is impossible to grade.
A lot of those sets are like that, So when you do get those gems, they're just so sought after by everybody.
Yeah, and they're hard to part with.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I feel like when I do my trade ups, a lot of times it's more of an 8 and then cash. So it's interesting your perspective about collecting multiples of that and then using that to make your jump.
Yeah. So like the 1988 Fleer All-Star Jordan card. I think I'm down to 3 only. I had 6 PSA 9s at one point in time.
Now, how many of those were from your original 500?
None.
Okay.
So
I'm just
No, it's a great question.
So I started ripping basketball packs in 1989. So that's anything 89 hoops and Fleer. I think that's all that was out there. And then Skybox came out in 90, and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the 90 Jordan, too, the base is the same picture as the 89 Fleer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Exact
fun.
same.
I love that.
Yeah.
That 89 Fleer is a sharp card, but good luck finding that shit centered.
Yeah.
That's impossible. But that's the beauty of the Jordan.
That's why the 1989 Jordan Gem base card's like $1,000 card. $1,000, $1,200 card. You can't. And it's funny because then the 9's only, you could get a 9 for like $50.
But they're like
Crazy.
That. You know, like that Shaq you brought up earlier. It's like $500 for a 10. The 9 is, what was it, like $70?
Okay.
Like how much of a difference it would be price wise, and this is where like the grading, like, you know, it makes you start thinking like, is there, you know, stuff done behind the scenes? Like, you're talking about substantial amounts of money in swings that way these things go. That's why people, so you're seeing these doctoring of cards, people using wax and rolling pins and like all these certain trimming and all these things that happen with this card market. It's so hard to buy raw half the time anymore. And then, you know, another thing too, I think too, a nice thing about buying slabs you talked about earlier is if you're buying raw, always look who you're buying it from.
Yeah.
If a guy's got 90% of everything he has is graded, there's a reason
Red
why
flag.
that's right there. But people don't think about that kind of stuff.
No, I mean, but I think we're all pretty much like experienced eBay guys. That I mean, I think you're silly to not look at what card they have, then look at their store.
Yeah, for
not,
sure.
Not even the fish at like what else they're selling, but it's like just to take the shipping off. It's like, what
Well-
else can I throw in the cart while I'm here?
Yeah, it's more like the higher end raw cards because I think there's a lot of $5 cards out there that you know,
Yeah.
people like to buy and grade. That I think of people with a lot of slabs. I mean, I got a bunch of cards that are $5 cards on my eBay page, but it's just like a card I wouldn't think of slabbing.
Oh yeah, well, and grading's a tough thing right now, and you mentioned it right there. But like, you know, I think when you get to the legacy guys, like the Jordans, like the Bradys, like the Kobes, you can kind of afford to wait 4 months for your grade back. It's these modern guys. You can't. By that time, they could be hurt. They could be in jail. You never know. You know, it's a tough market to kind of wait on that. So it's just like that. The grading market's in a weird place right now.
It is, right? You know, everyone. A guy came in the store yesterday. Turns to me and Mitch, yeah, man, I was waiting on my order. It's going on 4.5 months. Blah, blah, blah. Like his own order, right? And talking about it at the same time, though, he's like, I tried the whole SGC route, sent into there, and he's like, I go to sell my field stuff, and I get $60 offers for 10s, and PSA 10s are doing $150.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's a $90 difference.
And you've got to be okay getting $60 for that card,
Yeah.
and that's tough, man.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, because it's not like SGC just hands out 10s either.
No.
You got to earn the 10,
No.
right?
I've never submitted to SGC, so I have
Dude, I think
no frame of reference.
well, it's a weird thing because I'm starting to see a trend in like people who are getting into the hobby where they go into SGC because turnaround times, pricing, and then you're like, okay, this is really cool, and then like they get their cards back relatively fast. But then like a lot of the guys that I know that are loving it don't also like sell on eBay. Because if you sold on eBay, I think you'd have a completely different perspective of SGC. You just don't.
Yeah.
You just don't sell them with the same velocity as you do PSA. You just don't. And if you get an SGC 9, good luck selling that card, dude.
Better off selling it raw.
You're better off cracking the damn thing. It sucks. But like PSA 9, you can pretty much at least get your money back.
And then
You know.
for me being a shop owner, there's only certain clientele I could sell SGC slab to. I could sell a PSA slab to anybody. And that's where it comes down to the end of the day for me.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, so we're at 45 minutes.
What was your favorite Jordan out of the box? Go.
I probably think, is it the Warp Zone? Is that what it was called, or Warp Speed?
Warp speed.
Yeah, the Warp Speed's probably my favorite because it's just such a cool card, man. And I know how tough that is to gem.
Yeah.
That's just, there's no way with the amount of foil on that card, dude. And
Well,
like,
yeah, a 9's like a $500 card.
yeah, dude, that's a fun card. Or the Bombardiers.
Yeah.
Bombarders.
I do like your analogy of this being the first downtown card, though. That was
It's
a nice
fun.
sales pitch. On,
Mitch is
on
in.
that, on that. No, but you know, but the emotional attachment to this one. You know, the skylights.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember that card as a kid, and like those things. And like I said, that stuff does have an impact on the hobby.
So do you mess around with subsets at all? Because I've kind of just like punted them.
Jordan stuff, yeah. I mean, there's
Sure.
some of them that people like. The Phantomation from the upper deck, people like that Phantomation. The Skylight's a popular one. But for the most part, I'm looking for base. You know, the original base. I want a gem. I try to get gems on all of them, and then inserts. I try to ladder climb for the most part. Like that Bombardiers. you're going to go on eBay and spend $150 for a raw one.
Yeah, and it's going to come back horrible.
And it's going to, even if you have a clean one, your best is going to be a 9, submitting it to PSA. Because like Mitch was saying, I mean, they're tight on their 10s with Jordan.
They are.
And I'm fine with that because and I'm sure you see it a lot on social media and stuff, people complaining about PSA and being tight with their 10s on vintage. And I mean, a lot of times I don't respond, but there's a lot of times I'll respond on a post in a card group or whatever, and it's like, you want it to be hard to get a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these baseball cards and football cards and stuff, like, you know, everybody was all after the first Luis Robert. Bowman first.
Oh, I
Luis
knew he's going
Robert.
to come up in this podcast, dude. We can't get rid of him.
What is that now? 18 for 18?
Dude, there's like 9,000 gems.
No,
It's like,
more than that,
No,
dude.
what was it,
The Topps Chrome
17,000?
base is 17,000 PSA 10s.
Oh, I was talking about the Bowman Chrome first, the first Bowman Chrome.
Oh,
doubt it.
jeez.
yeah,
no,
and
it's-
it's like junk wax. Come on.
Brutal,
You're
dude.
still getting, like you said, the store shelves are overflowing. You're still buying junk wax cards. That'll never stop.
No, I'm with you. And like we talked about before in the beginning of the podcast, it's like even like the Stadium Club, the Fleer Ultras, like that shit's bricking. The upper deck is like tough to even pull a nice card out of a box anymore because it's like all the way that the borders are set up, like that 92, 93 Shaq rookie, the black bordered, like it's all black. That's one of my favorite cards of all time. But like, I'm not even going to try to buy that raw. I'm just going to save up the money, buy the PSA 10 and put it in my safe and call it a day.
Yeah.
It's just an impossible card to find.
Well, and it's,
you know?
it's funny because I have a lot of people say, oh my God, you spent $350 on a Jordan slab? It's like, yeah. It's like, how much did you just spend on all those blaster boxes of Prism football? Oh, $350. Do you got a card in there that you know is going to be worth $350 now?
You don't.
And always going to be worth $350 or more?
Oh,
And
okay.
That's the hobby, you know, back and forth. Like,
Yeah.
if you, my philosophy is if you're just in buying the singles, you might make some, at the end of the day, might make the most economical,
Yeah.
correct decision. But at the same time, I think it's truly hard to enjoy the hobby without ripping.
Dude, trust me. I mean, I was telling Alan before he got here, I got boxes filled with just Prism, Mosaic, Optic, Select, ripping
Oh, my.
packs, just throwing them in there, and then just boxes.
So if you had to, but we had a former podcast. We'll reference that in this. So if you want to go back and listen to how Mitch and I feel about singles versus wax, we do a full debate on it. Where do
Yeah.
you stand? End of day, gun to your head. Are you a wax or are you singles?
It depends. Jordan, Jordan, you can't do anything but buy singles. But modern day right now, yeah, I mean, I like buying them on Target.com because it limits me. I only buy 3 packs that come to my house. I'm not walking into a store and I'm like, okay, here's $500 for unopened packs. Let's do it. Let's see what we get. I mean, it's a form of gambling in my opinion. But I love ripping packs. It's fun. Kids come and watch it. You give them some cards. I took my kids to Mitch's last show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was awesome to see, man.
Oh yeah, so we went to another table and there was like a Michael Bridges silver prism in my daughter's box. This guy traded her a PSA 8 1990 Fleer All-Star Michael Jordan. And so my daughter's got it on one of those little plastic easels.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she keeps telling me, she's like, $20, Dad, it's yours.
Awesome. I love hearing that. I
too.
love hearing that.
Yeah,
Me
but
too.
I mean, there were so many people at that show that were cool. They'd flip through the kids' boxes. I mean, there was a couple stands where my wife and I went like a couple tables ahead and said, "Hey, we're coming with our kids. Here's a couple bucks. Buy a couple bucks worth of cards just to."
You did that to me. You
Yeah,
did it
I
to
did
me.
it to Alan.
Yeah, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take that DJ Moore.
Yeah,
DJ Moore. That was a big name that weekend, though.
It was fresh off the trade.
Fresh off the trade.
Oh, it was the select die cut too.
Yeah. So that was actually a really good buck of your own money that you gave me.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
Thanks, we'll
It
do.
made my kids smile. It was worth $100.
I can't wait till my kids are that age of your son. That's fun.
Yeah.
But you know, that part of showing them how to, you know, taking something, making $1 out of it, you know, collecting, taking care of stuff. You know, that's important, man. Those are lessons that, you know, kids can take with them their whole life.
For sure. And I think there's two, like, you know, I get the chance to meet so many business owners right? Throughout, and there's like one kind of like wave of just, I guess, influence from when they were kids, and it's either like the most successful ones were either DJs or they were into baseball cards. Because like you learn your entrepreneurial spirit at a time when the stakes aren't that high, even though they feel impossible at the time. You know, I mean, dude, we were all 10. Like trading Jordans at the time, like, dude, that was a solid 30-minute back and forth.
Yeah. I remember
it was, dude.
I remember opening a pack of 1993 Fleer in Pappy's sports cards over here out the window, and I pulled the Fleer insert Living Legends Michael Jordan.
Living Legends.
Oh, that's a great set,
I remember
too.
that one.
So they did everything they could to get that card out of my hand. They're like, oh, we'll give you 10 more packs. You know, when you're a kid, I mean, I was 11 years old at the time. You know, oh, here's 10 more packs. It's like, I like Jordan. I'm keeping this. And I remember almost like being bullied by those people to try to like sell them or trade that card.
We all have regrets, even as an adult. So
Big time.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I have 2 Jordans that I love. You put me on the spot with the Scoring Kings one that I do love, but 2 that I think are very affordable that I want to like hunt down a little bit. I think it's the 92-93 Fleer All-Stars Michael Jordan, the teal.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to find in good shape, too.
Yeah.
And
I've had some 8s. I've never been able to get my hands on a 9.
I love that one. And I think it's the 92-93 Fleer again, but the Total D with the black border.
Yeah.
That one's sick. And the Living Legends one is probably like one of my all-timers.
Well, the Total D, I mean, that 1992 Fleer and 1992 Fleer Ultra sets, those were the first insert Jordan cards.
Love that. Let's go.
do you have, was it a Jambalaya?
No.
No, I was going to ask you.
That's a big one.
That's a big boy.
That's a big one.
boy card. Give me a few more years. Talk to me in a few more years.
What's the die cut one with like the looks like the graffiti in the background? It's like big. What's it called?
The big man on court.
Yeah, that's another one you rarely see.
Yeah, I was chasing one last week. There was a 7 that got higher than I wanted, but Monday I bought myself a Fleer sticker PSA 8 Jordan.
Let's
rookie.
go. That's
Nice.
fun.
And I bought it old label. It was like $300 under market. As soon as I got home, I sent it to be reholdered. So,
Out of just curiosity, do you share your bank account for your cards with your wife?
no, my wife and I have separate bank accounts. But
Already?
It was funny. Yeah, it was funny because she's like, how much you spent on that card? I'm like, no, it was $1,200. And she goes, I guess I'd buy it. She's like, I've bought some $100 pairs of sweats and $400 Coach purses, so I get it.
Oh, that's good.
You know what's funny? So like one time I pulled my wife, she wanted like a new purse forever. Like, and after like you make a trade at trade night, right? You put it side by side, pull a slab out right at Nordstrom's, and I lay it on the counter next to the purse. I take it. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm proving what the trade is. So here it is."
That's awesome. Do you have any other Jordan inserts that you really want to kind of touch base on, or did you already?
You know
said
what?
It?
I at the end of the day, there's not a bad Jordan insert.
There's so many of them, and
There's
they're
so
all
many
great.
of them. There's so many of them. Like I said, for
Tops has a ton of great ones.
Yeah, they do.
Sticky Fingers was my one. The Topps Chrome, that's my all time favorite. That's like the one Jordan insert that's like in my PC. It's been there for a hot minute. And I really hope that you're able to really cash in on this movie coming out. I really think it's going to be an impact to the Jordan market. So
Yeah.
I think that with how invested you are in it, I think that'd be great. And and it's also another proves example of having this collection from a childhood has helped out. Like I told Alan, like my big thing was 2000 football. Like Urlacher is my favorite player of all time. My mom bought me tons of it to do chores, and my foundation was all these Tom Brady rookie cards that I had no idea about when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That stuff is impactful. So I think it's worth holding on to stuff. Don't get rid of it, and I hope everybody enjoys the hobby.
Yeah, my biggest thing is as soon as you start thinking of it as an investment or a money-making thing, that takes all the fun out of it.
Oof.
You got to think of it
That's
as
tough, Joe. That's tough. Because I'm always like caught in between whether or not to sell something to make a dime or like PC it.
Oh, I mean, I sell
I'm
plenty
stuck.
of cards at good times, but I mean, see, that's why I collect so many Jordans of the same grade too, because then it's like oh, it got up to $400. Here, I'll sell one of them. I still have two.
Hell yeah. I think I need to get better at buying multiples.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do because I get so pissed. Like that Griffey Gallery of Heroes, like it'd be so nice to be sitting on another 10. You know?
Yeah, but people were voting on it yesterday. They said that Trout was the better decision.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I get you. I traded that. Did you see in my case the 96 or 97 Gallery of Heroes Ken Griffey Jr. SGC 10? It's like a die cut stained glass.
Oh, yeah, you did point it out to me
Yeah.
when I was up there.
I ended up trading it for a Mike Trout auto out of 10. So I feel pretty good about it. But
And
it's
I
just,
came back Sunday, and you showed me the Trout auto.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember.
right. So that was a big. I mean, it's just tough because I love Griffey. He's my Jordan.
Yeah. No,
You
I'm
know.
a big Griffey fan, too.
But like just like Jordan, trying to sell anything Griffey in a Reds uniform is next to impossible.
Yeah.
It's got to be in that Mariners uniform. It's got to be in the '90s, and the same thing with Jordan. Like the Wizards stuff's just tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a market out there for
People
it, but not
like
as
'em.
much. You know.
I finally bought my first Wizards Jordan card about 2-3 months ago.
Did you feel dirty about it?
I did, but here's I'll show it to you at the shop. I'll bring it to you. It was on a trade night, and it was dual game use patch him and LeBron.
Oh.
And they both had and part of it both has the gold thread from the Cavaliers jersey, and obviously the Wizards jersey. So it was pretty sweet looking, and it was more their faces than it is
The jersey.
the jersey. So that's why the peel is cool. It's just two of the most iconic players of all time. Jordan's better, but
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
No, that's a sick card. You're not going wrong with any patch
No.
Jordan. So
Honestly, I think if you could, I think buying game used Jordan patch cards is one of the best investments in the hobby right now.
Yeah, people like
it's a great
those.
one. Yeah.
Because autos are just so sky high, most people can't touch it.
Do you have any Jordan autos? Damn. We got to get one.
Eventually. Those are adult goals. Still living my childhood cardboard.
Joe, where can people find you? Where can people kind of get in touch, check out what you're selling, what you got going on?
So I'm on Facebook, JoJo Cards. It's a White Sox bobblehead that looks like me as my my profile. And then on eBay, I'm Kurbob46, KURBOB 46, and that's my username on eBay. I usually have about 80 to 100 listings on eBay, and then on Facebook, I tend to list stuff usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Usually only 4 or 5 cards.
Good experience from selling on Facebook?
Yeah, you know what? I like it. I've met a lot of cool people. I mean, I'm in the Jordan, all us Jordan collectors. So that's a nice little group to be in because you reach a lot of people. And but I've been able to sell quite a bit of football. Football sells pretty quick. Basketball, a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Mitch, final thoughts and where can people find you?
ForeverYoungSportsCards.com, and around the corner from this beautiful podcast studio at 166 Southwest Street here in Crown Point. And like I said, we're going all in on the website, so make sure you're checking out. I got Zach loading up 100-plus slabs today. So
Let's go. Go, Zach.
Just keep grinding.
ForeverYoungSportsCards.com. Not only can you find cards there that you own, but you can also kind of
Tons-
get in on the memorabilia too.
Tons of memorabilia. I would say that, we just took in, between the show and all the signings the last couple weekends, about 2,000 new pieces. So it'll be exciting.
Awesome. And you can follow us on Forever Young Sports Cards on YouTube or Drop Third Sports on YouTube. Or if you want to just throw us a question, hit me up at Alan, ALAN, at local219.tv. We are hoping to do a mailbag episode eventually. So send in those questions when you got them, and we'll talk to you soon.